Welcome back to the Voices of MED13L, the official podcast of the MED13L Foundation. I'm Vanessa Diaz, your host for today's episode, and we're continuing our series of Growing Up with MED13L with Life at 18. We're doing things a little differently this time. Instead of starting where adulthood begins, we're going all the way back to the very beginning, and we're sitting down with one family who is going to walk us through their whole story. Everything they have learned across the last 18 years of raising a child with MED13L. And they're sharing it with us from Spain, which is a beautiful reminder of just how far this community reaches. Before we meet them, a few quick things that really do matter. If you haven't already, please sign up for our newsletters so you always know what's happening across the foundation. When you have a moment, head over to the MED13L website at med13l.org and fill out the family census right there on the homepage. And if you have any surveys waiting for you, please try to get caught up on them. I know it's a lot, but those surveys are how our researchers come to understand what MED13L truly looks like day to day, and they capture life from your perspective, which is something only you can speak to. Here's what matters most. We're all in this together, and we really do need every family to partake. When you are rare, everyone counts. Your experience, your answers, and your voice help every one of us. So with that, let's get started.
Oh, together we are not so real.
So we're here today with Belen Fernandez Crespo. She is a parent of a young man, Nacho, who is 18 years old with MED13L, and she is going to share his story. So Belen, welcome to the podcast. We're so grateful to have you here, and I'm sure the community is so eager to hear about what life has been like for you for many reasons, including that your son is a young adult and that you live abroad. A lot of the people we've been interviewing so far, the families, they have been from the US. So we would love to hear what life has been like for you navigating MED13L in Spain.
When my son Nacho was born, we didn't know anything was wrong with him because everything was perfect during pregnancy and controls and even at birth. But I felt like there was something odd. It was like a feeling I had in my heart. So I was like watching over him and his achievements. I don't know why. It was like a kind of intuition. And I started to realize he wasn't reaching what he had to do at a very young age. But even if I commended my suspicions with his pediatrician, she would not pay attention to my requirements to send him to a specialist or to do whatever was necessary, because it was evident for me that he was not developing in the usual way. So my son was undiagnosed for 11 years. When he was a little older, yes, it became evident for everyone that he could not speak, he could not walk, he didn't play, he had no interest in things, he didn't do the same things as other babies or children did. And doctors started searching for something, taking blood tests or doing MREs or very different types of medical tests, and they found nothing. So at the time, my husband and I thought that that was good news, because if they found nothing, maybe he would in time catch up with other children. We had that hope, but it didn't happen. And when he was diagnosed at 11, it was like a big relief for me to have a name. And as you have a name for your rare syndrome, it means that there may be ongoing investigation, and there may be a treatment or therapies or whatever. So for us, it felt like good news.
During his initial development, when you were noticing that he wasn't speaking and perhaps he wasn't playing, did you get his vision checked? Was it recommended to get his hearing checked? In fact,
Yes, he got his hearing checked and he needed an operation into his ears because of his infections. He couldn't hear well, but it was not an ear problem in itself. The thing is that all the tests appeared to be perfect, even MRE and anything, but we couldn't understand what was wrong because my son was like a blank book. We had to teach him everything. And with everything, I mean everything, because any movement, he wasn't able to do it. To be able to, he couldn't crawl, for example, and that is something natural for a baby, I think, or he couldn't point with his forefinger because his hands were so stiff and he couldn't separate his finger, and I had to teach him to point with it. He couldn't not. He couldn't shake his head either. So he was like locked in his body. He couldn't give any type of answer. Even if he couldn't speak, he couldn't nod or shake his head, even to say yes or no. It was terrible for me to see him in that state because he was very impaired
yeah.
in every sense.
Did you seek out occupational, physical, or speech therapy?
Yes, we were recommended, but we had already started with that later than we had already started because doctors said each child develops differently. We went to therapies, to different therapies, speech therapy, physiotherapy, horse therapy, water therapy, any therapy, every therapy, even non-conventional therapies. And we spent a lot of money in those because we were desperate, but those unconventional therapies are useless, and I would say they are sometimes scams.
Yeah.
There are people who want to get your money and because they know they won't work in your child, but as they know you are desperate and you will try anything, that's why they exist, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not unique to Spain. It's a global issue where there are a lot of people trying to take advantage of parents that are desperate for help for their children who aren't developing on a typical trajectory. And once you did receive support from the physician and they were prescribing, is it in the United States, we have insurance that will then help pay for some of the therapies. But I know from my own personal experience, even if I had the prescription, from the doctor for therapies, it's hard to find a therapist that will participate with insurance. We end up spending thousands of dollars on therapy out of our own pocket. Is that similar in Spain?
No, it's not similar. The insurance covers for those therapies, but we still seek for more therapies apart from those to complement the therapies we have. But anyway, those therapies are covered by your insurance until your son attends a special needs school. When he attends that school, those therapies disappear because it's supposed that in this school, those therapies will be covered and he will receive all of them. And that's not true.
Yeah.
Because if he received 2 days a week of speech therapy, for example, outside the school, in the school, there were no individual lessons and there were no twice a week. They may be once a week. And my son didn't have a physiotherapy for years when he started attending his special needs school. Even if he needed so much, there were too many pupils and there were too few professionals. And so that is why we had to cover with our money for those therapies, with our own money, and it is very expensive here in Spain.
Yeah.
Every half an hour is really expensive
Yes.
because they charge you for half an hour. half. I don't know
Yeah.
in the US.
It's very similar.
And
For 30 minutes here, I want to say it's $150.
it was 160, but well, more or
Wow.
less it's the same. It's
Yeah.
euros, not dollars, euros. Working very hard with the therapist and at home, because therapies only take place twice a week, for example, for each of them. But when you are at home, you have many more hours to work. So we also worked here, speech therapy, physiotherapy, everything that I could. I researched to learn how to teach him things and sounds and everything. My son cannot speak. He When he was 7 years and a half, he started trying to produce sounds or syllables, but they are not intelligible because he's very affected. I think maybe it is his nervous system that is very affected. I don't know. And his point of articulation is not the correct. He cannot protrude his lips, cannot blow, for example, to say F or S. Nobody understands him but his father and I. When he was very little, we tried pictograms, but he didn't like them. And what he did was that he searched in a book a picture of what he wanted and he showed it to us. That is what I did. Later on, we tried a communication device, pictograms, but he didn't like it because he couldn't write at the time. And after that, when he was able to write, we tried again with a device, but with writing, not pictograms. But he didn't use it meaningfully. He used it to play because he loved to hear the sound on the device. So it was not used for communication. But this year we have returned with the device and he's using it for communication. He makes 1 or 2 word sentences and it is wonderful for us. And we are very happy.
Yeah, that's incredible to be able to, in his own way, share his thoughts and his voice, right? So you had said that he was slow to walk. Do you remember around when did he start crawling and when did he start walking?
He never crawled, never. And the physiotherapist started with teaching him how to walk, but without crawling first, quite understand, because I had read that cross patterns were very good for his brain. So at home, I tried to teach him how to crawl and I succeeded, but with time, with very much time.
Yeah.
And when he started to walk between inverted commas, maybe he was 23 months old, but the physiotherapist made him stand and she left him alone, but it was something terrible for him because I don't think he felt secure of himself and he used to fall all over and he didn't use his hands to prevent because he couldn't. So it was not a very positive experience for him, and it took us a very long time to make him walk. Even nowadays, he needs your support when he climbs down steps. For example, he cannot do it on his own. I don't know whether it's a problem of his balance system or what, but he's not very independent in that sense either. He cannot do things on his own. He needs help. For example, we love hiking and Nacho loves to climb very steep trails, even if he cannot do it on his own, but we help him and he feels very happy.
I love how you're continuing to expose him to those typical joys of life. Do you use any assistive devices to help him climb up the hills or get back down? I can imagine going up is probably easier than going down.
Going up is easier, of course, and going down is more difficult for him and for us. When he was a child or a baby, we used to carry him in our arms, but now it's impossible because he's very tall. He's taller than me, and we cannot hold him anymore. And no, we do not use any devices, but our love for him to help him and our patience. We are not in a hurry, and we do it, and we try to enjoy the moment.
Does he wear glasses?
Yes, Nacho wears glasses. I noticed he couldn't see properly when he was baby, but I had answers like, when they are babies, they cannot see properly, but it takes time for them to see. I don't think he could see anything at all. And when he was 7 years old, we could find an optician who revised his eyes because many doctors said they were not, how can I explain it? They didn't know how to treat these children. And as he couldn't say which letters he could see, they couldn't tell if he could see or not.
Yeah.
It is something incredible, but it is true.
Yeah.
So when he was 7, I found someone who was a wonderful optician, a very humane person, and with a lot of patience, he examined his eyes, and it was then that Nacho could start using glasses, wearing glasses, and he could start seeing the world.
Did his demeanor change when she started wearing glasses? Did he seem a little bit more engaged once he was able to get a prescription?
No, I think his eyes hurt because he had many dioptries. I don't know what to call it. He had many, his eyes were very affected. He had 5.5 on every eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was too much, and the glasses were too much for him. So it took him a long time to get used to wearing them. But now he's very happy.
Vision issues are a part of MED13L. We see many children with MED13L wearing glasses. And my daughter, too, her prescription when she was younger, it was plus 6.5. And now it's plus 5.5. So, they say as they grow, their eye elongates. So it can get a little bit better. But we've been at plus 5.5 for a few years now.
Is it hypermetropy?
Yeah, she's farsighted, so she can see really far, but things up close are very blurry for her.
So it's the same with Nacho.
Yeah. So, what type of classroom setting has he been in? You said he's at a special needs school, or he has been this whole time. Was it a classroom that was integrated with typical peers, or was it always just a self-contained classroom?
It's always been a self-contained classroom, even if we demanded that he attended an ordinary school. It was impossible,
Yeah.
not for us, but for the educational inspector. I don't know whether you have one there. There was no other option, so he has been attending this special needs school all of his life since he was 4. He will stay there until he's 22, and after that, there are some day centers, but it's very hard to secure a place there, and there are no jobs adapted to people who are so impaired, dependent, because there are jobs for people with disabilities, but who are more independent and who are not intellectually impaired. So they are impaired in other ways.
Yeah.
And the only other option is to stay home forever. So we don't know. There is an uncertain future unfolding before us.
Yeah. We're so focused on the day-to-day development of trying to get them those basic skills that I think it's hard to imagine what life is like as a young adult and when that happens when they age out of the school system. What does life look like for these kids that such high support needs? Because to your point, what opportunities do they have? There are a lot of opportunities for those that have a level of independence and can do very specific tasks. But for those that need the one-to-one support, it's obviously a much different future. It's something that many families living similar lives worry about. Is Nacho your only child?
Yes, he's. So even if he was my only child, I felt there was something wrong. Imagine, it's something a mother knows.
Does he enjoy going to school?
Yes, he enjoys going to school. He gets on well with all of his partners. And but now that he's older, when he was little, he went to a class with 7 or 8 mates, schoolmates. But now he's in a classroom with 15 mates. So it's not, it has never been tailored to the needs of everyone, but now it is even less tailored to his needs because it's more like they do common work, and some of his schoolmates are not so intellectually, they can speak, they can engage in different activities, but my son is very impaired, and I don't know to what point he can get advantage of the activities that they do at school. But he's happy to go there.
Can you tell me a little bit about what puberty looked like for Nacho?
Nacho had a very late puberty. He started at 14 years old, but there were no mood changes. There were no changes in the things he likes, in the things he does. He still is like a child. He has no teenage interests at all. He still plays with his toys and his books. He has not changed in that aspect. So that is something a bit sad.
Of course. Did you notice any aggression? I know from my experience with other families, even outside of MED13L, that have similar diagnoses, puberty really impacts these children that are neurodivergent, that struggle to regulate their emotions on a typical day. But going through puberty obviously makes it that much more challenging. So, did Nacho have any behavioral issues?
Nacho has never had any behavioral issues, even when he couldn't speak at all. Even when he was locked in his body, when he couldn't nod or shake his head, or when he couldn't point with his finger or whatever, he never had behavior issues, which is something uncommon because when when a parent or a child cannot communicate, it is just normal that they had some tantrums or some type of reactions to the lack of communication, but he has never had that type of behavior. He's a very loving and lovable and very charming, and he comes and hugs you and gives you a kiss on your cheek, or he's so lovable.
I love that. I think it's easy to focus on all the things that these children can't do, but it's important to take a step back and appreciate the more positive things that they bring to our lives.
Yes. We have always worked like a team, my husband and I. We support each other, we help each other, even before we knew our son had it. So we accept our child, or now our son, we accept that he's impaired, but we are not ashamed of it. We are very proud of his achievements. We are very proud of him, and we show him everywhere. And that is something that everyone should do with his son or daughter, even if they are impaired or not. Be proud of your children, be proud of their achievements, of who they are, because they are something wonderful. They're part of you,
Yeah.
and you're a family. And
Yeah. How is Nacho with continence for bedtime and during the day?
in the day, he's potty trained, and at night he needs pull-ups because there are accidents. He's not conscious. The neurologist told us that it's that his brain doesn't get a signal that he needs to go to the toilet. It's a problem of his brain, not that he's badly behaved or whatever. We knew that, but anyway, he told us.
Yeah.
And we've been trying everything, but for the moment, because I'm very positive, I'm a positive person, for the moment he has not achieved to have a dry night, but I think in the future he will. I believe in science, I really do, and I think something that can heal or help them will eventually be discovered or created, or I don't know what words you use when you're a scientist. And that is what keeps me going, because when Nacho became 18, I was a little bit, I was not depressed, but I became conscious, or I thought that I had run out of time. Because when he was a child, I thought it's a long way until he will be an adult. But time goes by very so fast. And suddenly one morning he was an adult, taller than me, and 18, and I thought, I ran out of time. His brain is now adult, and nothing we cannot do anything to help him. That is what I thought. And for some time I was a little bit depressed, but I had to tell to myself, science will find a way. And also God, because I pray. I don't know whether I can say it here. And I trust so much in him. And I think he helps us, even if we do not notice it. I think so.
We're so grateful that you raised your hand to come and share your story and represent Spain and being an advocate for research for MED13L.
I wouldn't like other families to think that their children will grow up to be like mine, because maybe their children will be more dependent. So on that part, I wouldn't like to bring bad omens to them, because
I think it's important for the community to hear the differences of all of our kids. Even though we're all a part of this MED13L family, all of our kids do present differently. They have similarities, but they're all different. And I think it's important for all of us to hear each other's stories, because there may be several families or a lot of families out there that are just like yours, where their kids are just like Nacho. And hearing your story and you sharing your story is so important for those families. And I don't think it's a bad omen at all. You're just like us. Our hard may look a little different, but it's nearly the same.
yes, it was like if you were speaking my mind, and the experiences you told me were almost the same.
Yeah.
But mine with a boy and yours with a girl. And
Yeah.
your girl is younger than Nacho, but it's almost the same, and the same quote doctors and everything. It was the same. I wish I had known what his life would be like when he was a teenager or an adult, but nobody could tell me, because I asked the foundation, but they didn't really know.
Yeah, we need more families of older children and adults to come and share their story on the podcast and share their experience in the surveys, because that's where it can be collated and looked at compared to the rest of the community. And then that can go in and impact research. I really hope that families listening to this with young adults and adults hear this, come forward and share their story.
Vanessa, have you seen Project Hail Mary?
No.
It's a science fiction movie about an astronaut who has to travel to another solar system to try to save our sun of an illness. And he meets an alien who is like a rock, and he speaks through a computer. My son speaks like him.
Oh,
His name is Rocky, and my son makes sentences just like Rocky does.
oh, that's amazing. I'll have to watch that. Where is it on Netflix?
I'm watching it on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Okay, I will look it up. Yeah.
Project Hail Mary. It's
Project Hail Mary.
fine.
That's nice. I will watch that this weekend actually with my kids. I'll put it on and I'll be thinking of Nacho. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to share the MED13L community? Any advice or any words of wisdom that you would like to share with the community?
My personal motto is never give up. And I use it all the time. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed and you are very so stressed and tired, and you think there is not a way out, but never give up. I think that disability is like a marathon. It's not like a sprint, and you have to endure and work so much to get to the finish line. So never give up. What you have to do is to get like small achievements to get with your child. Small. They don't need to be big achievements. For example, potty training. This is a very big achievement, but you may plan. Let's try to show him how to color, for example, or how to hold his pencil, for example, and enjoy the little things that they achieve because they are great achievements for them, and love your children. And if you need to speak to someone, don't keep your pain or your fear or your sadness to yourself, because I've been doing it for a long time. You can share it with someone who loves you, and you can feel loved and supported by, for example, by your family.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I do just want to mention that you've raised your hand to be a resource for families in Spain or any Spanish speaking families that are living in the MED13L community. They can email info@med13l.org and we can connect you with Belen. And thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope I could express myself well, because it was very hard for me to get all the things I've been telling you are so deep inside me that I sometimes I found very hard to find the words to express my feelings.
It was perfect.
Any